Welcome to the John Parker House here in Ripley, Ohio. My name is Carol Stivers, and I'm the current president of the John P. Parker Historical Society. Our society was formed to continue the legacy of John Parker's life. John Parker lived in Ripley from 1847 to 1900.
This is John Parker's house. It is the only house he ever owned. He lived here and he died here. My name is Dewey. I'm a docent for the John Parker Historical Society.
John Parker lived in Ripley from 1847 to 1900. He was a very exceptional person. He was born into slavery, bought his own freedom at age 18, worked as a foundryman, and when he came to Ripley in the 1840s, he joined in the abolitionist group here in Ripley, and he spent a lot of his life helping with the Underground Railroad.
John Parker was born in 1827. His mother was black, she was a slave. His father was white, and we believe him to have been a slaveholder. If he was, he sold his son into slavery at the tender young age of 8 years old. He was stripped from his mother, never ever to see her again. Now, he was sold on the blocks and moved to Richmond, whereupon he was sold for a second time. And then he was moved to Mobile, Alabama, whereupon he was sold for the third time. Now, he was purchased this time by a doctor who raised John Parker, and he had the job of livery mate. He took care of the horses. And as the doctor called for his buggy or his buckboard, he would actually hitch up the team and drive the doctor on his appointed rounds and visitations.
As we learn more about John Parker as a young man, we can see the trials and tribulations he faces. This lends to his great strength and determination, which is only a glimpse of the man he would later become.
John Parker made numerous attempts to escape and was never successful at it. As he grew older, he did learn a trade. He learned that of a foundry worker. He was able to make metal pieces in a foundry, became quite good at it. Now, he was able to work into a foundry, and at one point in time he was allowed to keep some of his money, and he bought his freedom. He paid the price of $1,800, which was a lot of money back then at that time, for his freedom.
Coming to Ripley with his previous knowledge of making metal pieces, John Parker opened up his own foundry located next to his house here in Ripley.
Now, once you gain your freedom in the South, you have to leave it. For they did not want you to hang around the South to show the other blacks what it was like to be a free person.
John Parker's life is representative of the life probably of many of your relatives. Someone who came to Ripley to have a better life, to work hard and make a difference. Who was John Parker?
John Parker helped and assisted. He would go over into Kentucky and he would get the slaves and bring them back. He was an extractor. Not only a conductor, but an extractor. There were very few extractors in our history, for extracting is extremely dangerous.
The gentleman who owned John Parker died when Parker was a little fellow, and his wife, to get even with him for his indiscretion or his having been involved with a black woman, sold him. And can you imagine, he's less than 8 years old, and he had to walk from Norfolk, Virginia, all of the way to Mobile, Alabama, chained to another black person to be sold. He was a man who learned a trade, learned a skill while an enslaved person, and then brought that talent here to Ripley. And what helped to make his life successful was there were people here who respected him for the work that he did, for his skilled products that he developed.
There's also a lot we don't know about John Parker. We're still looking for a picture of John Parker. Over our mantle we have a picture frame that is empty. We have no picture of John Parker. We have found a few of his relatives, but they don't have any pictures either.
We have very, very few artifacts of John Parker's time, for nothing of John Parker was preserved. His family did move out of town after his death. But he lived here for 50 years, and he did his work, became a very, very well-known foundry person, and became very wealthy at this particular spot.
So in the house, we have many displays that tell about Parker. As we were restoring the house, we did archaeological digs, and so we have some of the things that we found in the archaeological digs.
Now, this house is preserved by the Historical Society. They started on it in the year 97 and completed in the year 2003 to this point that you see it now. It is a two-story museum. There are exhibits on the second floor, which is where we are right now, as well as the first floor.
John Rankin was another of Ripley's abolitionists whom John Parker worked with many times. Rankin's famous home sits high up on the hill in Ripley, looking down over the town.
And they were instrumental too. Parker and Rankin might have been the leaders. You know, you always have to have a leaders. But there are many underlings, if you want to call that, who put their lives on the line daily, weekly.
Freedom today, freedom during the era of slavery, required that someone take a risk, that someone risk their life. Why is it that we would talk about it in Ripley? Because with Ripley being right across the river from Kentucky, with Ripley being right in the middle of America as it existed at the time Ripley was founded 201 years ago. Ripley was located in the first state in America west of the Allegheny Mountains, and the first state where slavery was illegal. Slavery in America, slavery in building the initial America that the heroes of the Revolutionary War fought over, was built with an awful lot of slave labor. From Massachusetts to Virginia, down to Georgia, to the Carolinas, we used free labor.
As a matter of fact, there are three major cities on the Underground Railroad: Cincinnati, Philadelphia, and Ripley. And we argue today about which one is the strongest of those three cities. But nobody really knows for sure, for a most successful crossing is one that nobody knows anything about. It's completely secretive.
When I was 4, my father brought me here because my dad wanted me to understand that even at the time that I was a little fellow and racism and prejudice was the order of the day, that there was a place called Ripley, Ohio that allowed a person like John Parker to be the best that he could be. And to me, my dad taught me that if you do your best, there's always a place for you in society.
Here at the Parker House, we've been so delighted to have several presentations, and one we've had recently is called Faces of Freedom, Preserving the Stories of the Underground Railroad.
Welcome to Faces of Freedom, Preserving the Stories of the Underground Railroad. My name is Catherine Bache, and I created this program as a part of my Girl Scout Gold Award project. Tonight, you will take part in a journey on the Underground Railroad. You are free African Americans who have traveled back to the South to rescue a family member from slavery. You will meet characters who represent various groups of people from the Underground Railroad movement. All of the characters that you will encounter are based off of real people who I researched from primary sources.
We have decided to sell you to make some money, but we'll let you choose your own master. You have 1 week to find a new owner. In the meantime, you need to replenish our stock of firewood.
Yes, ma'am. I'll go chop the wood now.
There's some logs in front of the house, William. Just chop them into smaller pieces.
Yes, ma'am. Lord, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. First, my master sells me, my mother, and all my brothers and sisters to a different master. And I can't see them very much. My mother did a lot for me. She would nurse me and take care of me, then get beaten in return. Then nobody deserved that kind of treatment. Now my master's gonna sell me away now, too. I have false freedom papers for myself that I had a literate friend make for me. And from running errands for different white men, I've earned a little bit of money. Enough to afford this new outfit and the dried beef, cheese, and crackers in this here bag. Yes, this is the perfect time for an escape. I can just taste freedom.
Are you runaway slaves?
Well,
It's okay. It's okay. You're safe with me. Come on, follow me. Watch your step. Okay.
Mary, what are all these Africans doing coming in here?
Well, I'm sorry, Anthony. They looked like they needed a place to catch their breath. Now move and let us in. I said move.
thank you.
You mean to tell me that you're helping fugitive slaves in our house?
Well, I'm sorry, Anthony. You know that I was raised in a family of abolitionists, and we didn't hesitate to help runaway slaves.
I was raised in a slave-holding family.
Yes, I know, and I don't understand why you still continue to treat slaves as property. They're people just like us.
I can't believe this. Don't you see the benefit that the slaveholders bring to their slaves? They give them food and water, clothing, and a roof over their heads.
I don't care if they give them a roof over their heads. They are still deprived of their freedom and forced into labor.
In exchange for the goods they receive.
You are missing the point. Slaves are deprived of their freedom.
Well, maybe they don't deserve it.
They deserve their freedom just as much as you.
That's it. I've had enough. Get out of my house. Get out of my house. Go.
Fine. I'll lead them out. Follow me.
Let's get going.
Go on. Get out.
Let me look around there and see if it's safe. You all stay here while I check. I looked around, and from what I could see, it looks good. Let's try it.
When thou reaches the next safe house, knock on the door and say, "A friend of a friend sent me." That is the next safe house.
Everybody, stop right there!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My name's Chancey. I'm protecting this land to make sure that no fugitive slaves come through here. It's my responsibility to make sure that slaves stay slaves and the good folks around here don't lose their property. Besides, I can make good money catching runaway slaves. Are you fugitives?
No, sir.
We're free. No.
Are you sure? Yeah. I've got this ad that says there was a slave that ran away. He was wearing a gray jacket and some bluish colored pants. How do I know that's not you?
Papers.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah.
I have papers too, sir. We all do.
You got papers. Let me see the papers. You know, I could burn these in a minute and take every one of you back down to the deep south. Today I'm gonna let you go. So get out of here before I change my mind. Don't go causing any trouble.
That was close. Too close. We best get moving quickly and quietly. A friend of a friend sent me.
I'm so glad you found me safe. Thank the Lord. I have eternal hatred for slavery. It's
It's not the pain of the body, but it's the pain of the soul that makes it so cruel. It takes away a man's right to think for himself, do for himself. That's the real tragedy of slavery. I too, as a child, found myself sold to the slave trader. Headed south to Alabama. I was bought by a doctor. His treatment of me was so-so, so I give him no trouble. He had 2 boys in that family. They were nice to me. And secretly, they even taught me how to read and write. As I grows older, he apprenticed me to work for a different man. That man beat me the very first day. Beat me so bad, I had to go to a slave hospital. That hospital was run by a wicked old white woman. She used to beat us slaves. So I gets out of there as soon as I could. Stole on board a steamship, heading north, trying to find my freedom.
I'm very glad you've made it safely to my home. I'm the Reverend John, and this is my brave wife.
Good day. I am Jean Rankin, and these are 2 of our sons, Calvin and Lowry.
Greetings.
Oh, what papers do you have there?
Those are real freedom papers. These are my family members. They are already free.
Welcome.
Welcome.
These are fake freedom papers. They are for my plan. I had a literate friend make these for me back home so I can deceive bounty hunters that I might encounter.
They look very real. I think you'll fool bounty hunters for sure. How clever of you.
Bounty hunters, as well as many others, believe that slaves possess an inferior strength of the mind. But how false, how unreasonable is such a thought. Yes, I am an abolitionist. I teach the doctrine that all men are born equally free and independent, that we must love our neighbors as ourselves, that to buy, to sell, or to hold human beings as property is a sin. For this, I place my family's lives in jeopardy.
We thank you very much for your kindness. May I come back and visit you when I'm really free?
I am sorry, but the laws are against you, and you can never return. And now that you've caught your breath, we must send you on your way.
Follow that path to free black territory. Make sure you watch your step along the way.
God bless you.
Godspeed. Godspeed to you all.
Okay.
Well, man. What do we have here? You folks look a little bit familiar to me. Especially this one. I just saw you folks south of here just a few days ago. What, pray tell, are you doing all the way up here?
They bees here to visit us.
Looks a little suspicious to me. It does. It's very suspicious because I heard you say they looked a little tired, and I'm glad that they found us. Sounds to me like they may be fugitive slaves seeking refuge around here.
What else meant to say, sir?
What did you mean to say?
Our relatives here have been traveling for a mighty long time to bees with us. And we just glad that they made it to our small settlement.
That's right. We was expecting them yesterday.
Is that right?
We thought they had gotten lost. This is the first time they've been down here. Do you get on out here and chase your own kind?
Get!
We thank you for chasing him off and keeping us safe.
You know, when Jemima and her husband first came here and settled this place, it was safe. It was out in the middle of nowhere. But now, that man knows you here. He got his eye on you.
Yeah. So you best beware.
For those of you who are growing up here in Ripley and going to school here in Ripley, you have been a living, legitimate laboratory for people to understand that an ordinary person, black, white, Appalachian, can do anything if they're given the opportunity. And it happened right here in this little bitty town. So the John Parker House the Rankin House, the buildings in Augusta, the buildings in Maysville, they're not just objects. They're living lessons about what the American dream can be and the very things that makes us different than most places. Enjoy your journey.